Hello and welcome to my tutorial series on LangChain. I'm Mukul and today I'm kicking off with an introduction to LangChain, which is a powerful library for building applications with large language models. Throughout this series, I'll progressively build on each topic so as to make sure that we understand the basics first, and then we go deeper into some more advanced topics later on. First, let's start with what is LangChain? LangChain is an open source framework which is designed to simplify the development of applications that utilize large language models. So it provides tools and abstractions to create complex workflows that involve LLMs, which makes it easier to handle tasks like natural language processing and conversational AI, and a lot more interfaces around it. The obvious question is, why should you consider using LangChain for your LLM applications? The main benefits include its modularity, ease of use, powerful abstractions, which let you build and focus on application logic rather than dealing with a lot of intricacies of LLMs, right? So it is like a framework that has been provided to you that helps you in developing solutions faster and not worrying about the boilerplate code. So the LangChain offers components like chains, prompts, memory, agents, and various utilities that these guys have developed that streamlines the development process for you, right? So they have done the hard work for you so that you don't have to do it. This whole series will be structured in this way. Today's topic is an introduction to LangChain. We have a basic understanding of it. We'll set up a workspace. We'll play around with, like some hello world kind of program in LangChain. Then we'll dive deeper into creating and managing chains and prompts in the second video, which will be working with chains and prompts video. The third one will be integrating memory into it, right? So I'll explain how to use memory to maintain context in your applications and how to pass it along. Fourth video would be on utilizing agents and tools. And the last video would be some advanced concepts, and we'll build a real world application also in there. We'll explore some more advanced features that come with the LangChain, right? Let's talk about core components of LangChain. So at a very high level, LangChain can be divided into these 5 core components. 1. Chains. Chains are sequences of steps that process inputs and produce outputs. Right, so they form the backbone of your application. Hence, it is called LangChain. It's a chain. Chains are sequences of steps that you need to follow. 2 is prompts. Prompts are the inputs that you provide to the language model. So crafting an effective prompts is crucial for you getting the desired response back from the LLM. 3. Memory. Memory allows your application to maintain the context across interactions. So it makes the application more conversational and dynamic. 4th, agents. So agents are components that make decisions and take actions based on the input and the context, right? So you see how it is kind of building up. Number 5 is tools and utilities. So LangChain provides various tools and utilities to simplify common tasks like handling external APIs or managing data. We learn best from coding. So let's set up our environment and let's dive directly into coding. So step number 1 for us is installing Conda. And if you haven't already done it, I have some previous videos on how to install Conda. You can get it from conda.io and you can install Conda over there. And once you have Conda installed, you'll have to open your terminal and you'll have to create a new Conda environment for LangChain, right? So start doing that. So let me open a new project over here. All right, so I have an empty folder I'm starting with. I'm gonna open this folder in terminal, and let's just do code dot, which starts our Visual Studio Code, and it gives us an empty folder to work with. So step number one would be, we'll open terminal, new terminal, and assuming you have Conda already installed, you can see mine is in the base right now. We want to switch to a new environment. So the way we'll do it is Conda create -n, and whatever environment you want to name it. So I'll name it LangChain _env, you know, and you can specify Python version over here too. And let me do Python equals 3.11, right? So we'll do Python 3.11 over here. You can leave that Python altogether and it will still create an environment. And then it creates the environment, however, it doesn't activate it yet. So it's asking you, do you want to proceed with the default packages and the default location? Let's make it bigger and you can see what it's talking about. That it's going to create an environment over here. Do you want to do that? I'm going to say yes, I want to do it. So I just hit enter and it creates that default environment for me. Now I'll just do conda activate LangChain env. I'll copy this command and I'll paste it over here. And I have my LangChain environment activated. How do I know it? By looking at this particular sign over here in the bracket LangChain underscore env, right? So clear. Now that we have our LangChain environment set up, what we'll do is we'll create a file requirements.txt and we'll just enter LangChain over here, right? And this will pull our LangChain dependency. Now the next step is do a pip install -r and requirements.txt, right? So once you do this, make sure that you are in the correct conda environment, which we are. Then installing this will pick up all the dependencies from this requirements.txt file, and we are in the correct folder over here. And let's hit enter. So it is pulling in the correct dependencies and it is putting in our conda environment. Yep, so it is done. Based on your internet connection, this can take a little bit longer, but for me it is fast enough. So the very first hello world application could be, so if we do, you know, like a test.py, and if we do import LangChain, right? Just as simple as that. That let's see if the LangChain was properly pulled in our environment or not. And let's say print LangChain was imported, right? So why? Because if LangChain wasn't imported, Python being an interpreted language, it will throw an error at this point and it will say, okay, you were not able to successfully get the library in, right? So let's do this. And then we can run this program now. So click on the run and then it says, yep, just prints this message. And the reason why we know LangChain was imported is because we did not get an error at that point, right? So that is good. Now that we have our main program working over here, the base hello world kind of program working over here, we want to make something slightly more complex that builds upon this example that we have. And in order for us to do that, we'll have to make sure that we have two main components installed and working, which I made some previous videos on. Those two components are Ollama server and some kind of interface that is on top of your Ollama server. Well, bare minimum is just Ollama, but having an interface helps. The preferred approach that I have is using Docker, right? And I made videos around that, so please go ahead and watch some previous videos on how to do that. But get Ollama working, and my favorite user interface for Ollama is Open Web UI. So that gives you a nice way of interacting with Ollama. So let me show you how my Open Web UI currently looks like, and these are the different models that I currently have. So the OpenWeb UI's URL is localhost 3000. You can go over there and you can see the different models that you have. So I have all these different kind of models, and the one that is very popular these days is Llama 3, or you can also use the Dolphin Llama 3, which is pretty awesome, right? I mean, you get a huge context window if you want over here, or you can get an uncensored model. So Dolphin Llama 3, definitely recommend that. But get some kind of UI installed for doing some interactions, because if you got to delete a model or maintain some things, this OpenWeb UI makes things very easy. The second thing that I recommend, if you do have a NVIDIA graphics card, right? So you can do this watch -n.5, which is every half second refresh this, and NVIDIA-SMI. And if you've been watching my previous video, you know why I like this. You can get an update on what is loaded in your Ollama server over here, how much RAM it is consuming, VRAM it is consuming, and you can see the activity of your graphics card over here too. So how much utilization it has, and what's the current temperature, and what's the current power consumption that it has, right? So just keep it open, and it really helps you once you are taking a look whether the model is loaded in your system or not, right? So let's jump on to our second example. In my system, I have Ollama already installed. I have already done a pull for certain different models, so all those languages are in my local. So I can directly go on to the next step of getting some dependencies in which we'll be using, right? So what's that dependency? So the very first dependency that we'll be using for this example is LangChain community, right? So LangChain community, and this particular one will be needing for our Ollama server, right? So we are already in the correct conda environment, and let's go ahead and do a pip install. One shortcut to do it now is, because you have already run it, Control R, that's a reverse I search, and you can type pip and hit the right key. Well, no, Control R again and hit the right key. And once you get your pip install -r requirements, hit enter, and it will install it in your current environment, right? So it will install it in your current conda environment. Perfect. Once you have this set, you can go ahead, create a new file, and let's name that file as hello world.py, right? So the first was just in a way testing whether our environment is working or not. This one would be a real hello world where we'll interact with an Ollama server using an LangChain's API, right? So let's do this from LangChain community, import Ollama, and then we'll initialize the Ollama model over here, right? So LLM is equal to Ollama, and the model that we are gonna use in our case is let's use the or Llama 3, right? Llama 3, as simple as that, the most popular model from Meta, and we'll use that. And now we'll define a very simple function to interact with the model, right? So let's define that function, and let's call it ask llama. And in this we will pass in a prompt, right? So let's say we pass in a prompt, and it will be of type string, and the output of this function will be a string as well. And let's write this. So response for this would be llm dot invoke, right? And we'll pass in the prompt, which is the string that we have. Okay, and then we'll just return this response, and we'll be out of this particular method. Okay, so now we can create a prompt to ask the llama model. So let's create a string over here, and let's call it prompt, and let's say how, or the best hello world example is tell me a dad joke. And now that we have created a prompt, we need to just pass this prompt into our LLM. And the way to do that would be to invoke our ask llama function. So let's do response is equal to ask llama function, and we pass in the string that we have just created, right? So prompt, and we can then just print this particular response that we get back, right? So it's a simple hello world function. We imported our Ollama, then we defined the LLM with the Llama3 model instantiated in it, and then we are doing finally an LLM.invoke, and we are passing in a string, and we are getting a string output out of it, right? So let's do a Python hello world.py, and let's see, we get an error over here. And what's the error? From LangChain community cannot import Ollama. Oh, LangChain community.llms. Yep. My bad. Over there, it is in LLMs. It should work now. Yeah. So it is going, the call is going to your Ollama server, and you're getting a response back, right? So you can see that the Ollama server now has 5,000 megabytes loaded in there, 5.2. And that is because about 4.8 is the model itself, right? So if we switch this Llama3 to Phi3, which is a Microsoft's model, it's very popular these days too. And you'll see that, so I haven't run the program yet, but you'll see that this 5,000 will drop down to a lower number because Phi3 is a very smaller model as compared to Llama3, right? So, oh, I don't even have Phi3 in my local. Okay, never mind. So I do not have it. So I have to pull that model before I can use it. You know what? Let's take this opportunity to pull that model. Go to your Open Web UI and do a Phi3, and let's just pull it. And it takes, because it's a small model, it won't take a lot of time. So let's wait for a few seconds over here, and the model will start pulling very fast. All right, so we are done with the model. And it'll do a SHA check over here to make sure the downloaded file is correct. And once the SHA check is complete, and it is complete now. Okay, all right. And now we'll just run this again. And we should not see the same error again because the model will be loaded. And not only that, we'll also have a smaller memory footprint, right? So we have 3,600 instead of 5,000 because the whole model got loaded in the memory over here, in the virtual RAM, in the VRAM over here. So as a recap, in this script, I started by importing the Ollama class from LangChain community LLMs. I then initialized the model with Llama3 or Phi3 as you saw. The ask llama function takes a prompt as an input and uses the invoke method to get a response from the model. Finally, I define a prompt and call the ask llama function to print the response. This simple example demonstrates how to set up and use Ollama model with the LangChain. Imagine using this setup to build a sophisticated customer service bot that can answer complex queries by integrating multiple data sources and maintaining the context across conversations. Well, that is it for our introduction to LangChain using Ollama model today. Today I covered the basics of setting up the environment, installing dependencies, creating a simple LangChain application, and going over some high-level concepts of why LangChain is absolutely incredible open source tool for us, and we should be utilizing that in our projects instead of writing all the boilerplate code by ourselves. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and in next video I'll dive deeper into working with chains and prompts, and thanks for watching.